Good morning everyone, my name is Aron SAYSON and we are the fourth group. My team and I are pleased to present to you our newly developed system in today's VideoProject, which undoubtedly provide an administrative system for our visitors to the home for the elderly. It's called Vista Plus, a visitor management system for the home for the aged. We are all aware that a visit to a specific location requires the presence of at least one person. If not a group of people, it could be a visit to a friend to whom you want to hang out, a visit to our loved ones for a gathering occasion, or a visit to our deceased loved ones at funerals. Our system will provide a database of records for each of daily recent visitors' visits to their assigned patients in real time, just like in our traditional setup of logging a records. We usually keep track of our personal information, identification number, time of entry and exit, and our contact number. However, in the case of our system, we would like to implement a much more organized and convenient method of securing records and managing the information of every person involved in the home for the aged facility. The system keeps track of the personnel assigned to the monitor system, the personnel assigned to a specific patients in the facility, and visitors who come and go. That's all for my part. Thank you very much for listening. Now we proceed to the next presenter.
Good day everyone, my name is Gerome A, TAYAO, the second presenter. For the next part of this video project, I will discuss the business rule of our system. The ruling of this visitor management system was that a staff can provide an assistant to a many visitor in the facility. Assistance meaning the logging procedure of visitors' information in the record of the system. Another rule established in this system was one or more visitor can only visit one patient at a time per entry, since it is possible for a multiple expected visitors for one patient in a home for the aged. So in short, the whole system's process are intended to the visitor itself on how they are being managed by the staffs and being guided to the patient they are visiting. Next up is our entity relationship diagram, which in here, you will see the diagram of the relationships of our settled ruling of the system, that one staff can provide an assistant to a mandatory many number of visitor, and only one patient can be visited by at least one visitor in the facility. If you'll notice, there is a separate table that has no relationship, no ruling with other tables. It is because the visitor out table was a record intended for the time in and out of the visitor, which will be found in the system database. That's all for my part. Thank you very much for listening, and now let's move on to the next presenter.
Hello everyone, my name is Socorro, the third presenter to discuss the following part of our project, which is the relational data model, or so we call the logical schema. In a schema, we'll see that each table that we have earlier are being listed by rows and has the unique attributes and keys that we consider to be in our system. If you'll notice, foreign keys are present in the visitor table. It is being used for it is required to have a staff ID and a patient ID to be encoded and recorded to the system. A while ago, Gerome had mentioned that the isolated table has a similar attributes with the table visitor. But again, the visitor out table is for the time in and out of the visitor. Next up is a database diagram. It is a diagram shows the relationship of each table including the declared data type and the range of each attribute. The range was set depending on what specific needed data are to be recorded. We use the data type int for numerical values, varchar for attributes that inputs character, date for the birth date, and times up retrieving the date of visit, and log in and out of the visitor to the facility. And we also see here the constraints of the primary and foreign keys between the staff visitor and patient visitor. That's all my part. Thanks for listening. Let's proceed now to the next presenter.
Good day, my name is BAUTISTA, the fourth presenter of Group4, which I will continue discussing our video project regarding the visitor management system. Now let's talk about its user interface. The first thing that you'll see by the time that you run the application is the loading page. There, you can see the loading bar and its percentage. Here at the middle is the big logo of our system. Now that the loading process is done, it will show the login page intended for the staffs that will access the system. We'll see in this part that it requires the staff's ID and password. If the staff already has an account, he or she should click login. But if not, they must register first, which they will be redirected into another page for the registration. In the registration form, contains the list of all current staff's ID and their names. To register, the new staff must input the following information required down below. Then click Register. Now that the login form is done, it will redirect you to the system's homepage, which in this page shows the list of names and IDs of staffs, patients, and visitors. This page also shows the filling up form for current visitor. The staff will ask the visitor the following information to be encoded in the visitor's list. There is also menu sub-buttons for the new and previous visitors and patients. If you will notice, there is an end visit button. That button is for timing out the visitor of a particular visit. Then the ended visit will be placed to the visitor's record, which will be part of the archive data of the visitor management system. That's all for my part. Thanks for listening. Then now let's proceed for the next presenter, continuing the discussion about the system's user interface.
Hello everyone, I'm Karl REONAL, the fifth presenter to continue the discussion about our system user interface, especially the interface of each menu buttons from the home page. If you as the staff click the new patient button, it will direct you to a page that has a list current patients in the facility. Down below, you see the patient registration form, wherein it has to fill up the patient personal information for their registration to the systems. Also, the page provides a cancel option if the staff wish to cancel his or her view in the patient record page. Next is the new visitor button. Just like the new patient button, the unregistered visitor needs to appoint their visits to the patient by filling up the asked information. In this page, you also see the list of patients and the staffs on duty in the facility. Once the register is done, the staff can now confirm the visit of the new visitor by clicking the Confirm Visit. If the new visitor wishes to cancel the registration, the system can provide a cancel feature within this part of the form. Next, the Patient Record button, where in here you'll see the record of all the patients in the facility, containing their ID, name, birth date, and their gender. Lastly, the Visitor Record button, where you'll see here the list of visitor record that contains the citizen ID, name, date in and out of visit. Beside of it is the selected visitor's profile, which you will see here the record of the visitor information inside the facility database. The page will also provided a searching bar for allocating specific record of visitor. There is also an all visit records table here that contains all number of visits of the specific visitor. That's all of my part. Thank you.
Good day, I am Clyde B, PERATER, the 6th presenter of Group 4. I will discuss the sample report of our visitor management system, which In here, I will demonstrate how record is being recorded within the database of the system. To start up, here in the homepage section, I will search for the record of the visitor named Ben James Bautista by searching up his first name, which it eventually filtered the list for names that has a Ben James on it. And in our case, there is only one result. Once the visitor is clicked, that specific visitor's information will be displayed on the right panel of the screen, which is here, just like in this example. It shows all the information of Ben James Bautista. If you, as a staff, will end a visit using our sample visitor Ben James, I'm going to highlight first the visitor, then click End Visit. It will now transfer to the visitor's record then. Okay. After that, the next is to report the visitor's record page. I will demonstrate how the records of a specific visitor to display. So same process as what we do earlier is we will search the name of the visitor and then click the results. Upon clicking, it will show the visitor's information, date of time, time in and out of visit, phone number as well as the ID of the visitor, patient, and the staff on duty to the patient. Then lastly, I will demonstrate the searching process in the patient record. So simply type name or ID of your patient depending on your preference, then it will eventually show up their information. For example, I'm trying to search for Mr. Pedro Balais. It will show his unique patient ID, his name, date of birth, as well as his gender. That's all for my part. Thank you for listening. I hope my part did a lot of learning, and now we proceed to the next presenter.
Hello, I am Kenneth ARELLANO and I am from Group 4, and as the last presenter of the group, I am here to show you some of our source code with its function. Let's start here with our registration form. As you can see, here in our registration form, we have tables and different text fields. In our staff ID text field, our password text field, phone number text field, it has a code that will limit the user to enter only specific counts of characters. For example, here in our staff ID, the users were allowed to input at least 6 characters only. And same with the password field, they are allowed to input up to 6 characters only. And with our phone number, they will limited to enter at least 11 characters. And staff ID and the password used will be used to log into our application. After clicking the register button, they will be redirect to our login page. And after clicking register, all the data inputted to our text fields will be saved to our database. And proceeding to our login form, the staff ID and the password they entered to our registration form. The staff ID and the password will be used to log into our application. The users have only 3 chances to enter our application. Once the 3 chances used, the program will automatically terminate. And here's the code. Initializing the value of R is equals to 4, then I decrement. Here's the query that we need to satisfy. Select query from staff where staff ID is equals to what and password is equals to J text field 2 is the name of our text field. Here's the text field that will fetch the staff ID from the user, and this is the text field that will fetch the password from the user. If I is greater than 0, then result.next. Set visible false, this is the code that will expose the login form page. Then initializing the dashboard object. Then db.set visible true, it will display the dashboard page. Else if I is not equals to 1 or if the I is still decrementing, which means the user still input wrong ID or password. It will automatically refresh the text fields, and if I is equals to 0, the users will be prompted by the injunction pane which has they inputted wrong ID or password, then the system will exit. For example, the users has entered the correct ID and password, they will be transferred to our dashboard page. Here on our dashboard, we have here 3 different tables and 3 different search bars. Here on our table, visitor, after they click for the staff click table, all the data from the selected row will be shown here in our text fields. And here's the code. Creating object SR, which is the selected row, and creating object cell, which is the value at index 0 from our selected row. Then this is the query that will show all the data where the citizen ID match. Result.next, L name, F name, gender. These are the names of our text fields here. And on our L name, in our line 1, L name that set text result set that gets string L name, which means getting the value of the column L name from the output of the SQL query and showing it to the text box L name, which means the value from the L name column from the result of the query will be shown here on our L name text field. Same with the others. And this button and visit has 2 different functions. One is to delete data from our visitor table on the database, and the same data that showed here will be inputted to our visitor records with the date and time out. And here's the code for it. Create the selected row, creating object SR, which is the selected row in the cell, which is the value at index 0. Here's the code that will insert the data to our visitor out table to our database. PST set string, which is these text fields will be filled since we click on a specific row on the table, and the only data that the staff will provide is the date and time out, and it will be automatically inserted to our visitor records in the selected row that the selected here on our visitor table will be permanently deleted. Here in our visitor records, as you can see, we have here 2 different tables, and just like on our dashboard page, we have here text fields, which is when you select the row on your specific row, all the data will be showed here. And if you selected the row here, all the data with the same citizen ID will be showed here on the bottom table. And here's the whole thing. Int SR, which is the object SR, which is the selected row. Then string cell is the value at index 0 from our selected row, and then string cell 2, which is the object that has the value of the index 2 from our selected row. Then cell 3, this has the value of index 3, which from our selected row. Then here's the query that will show all the details have in our database that has the same cell, which is the citizen ID. All the data with the same citizen ID selected on our table will be shown here. And it's the query that will show cell different. If the query has been satisfied, it will be shown here on our text fields. And here's the code. Is the text field L name, F name, F name, and initializing column sizes, and that's all. Thank you.